That should be good. All right. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Here we go. Okay, hello everybody. My name is Alchemy. Welcome to the channel. Today we are going to be doing another live lecture, and today's topic is going to be the idea of taking private lessons or finding a mentor when it comes to, well, just about anything. Today is going to be kind of focused on music in particular, but I've had several mentors throughout my life, specifically with martial arts, whom I still have a mentor. His name is Sifu Joel Ledlow. I posted a thing in the Discord earlier about an interview with his teacher who was taught under Bruce Lee. And after I watched that, I sent him a message and I was like, Sifu, like, this is so cool because everything that he's saying is almost like, is like all the things that you said to me, but now I hear him through you. And I think that was like a really kind of like family moment in that sense. So private lessons, are they worth the money? Yeah, actually, but it depends. It depends. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And on one end, like if you have the right mindset or you have something specific in mind or you kind of like have a little bit of preparation going into a private lesson, I think that they are well beyond worth the money because sometimes you can get things that are just completely invaluable. So, I mean, man, like, let me put it this way. From the private lessons that I've taken with the people that I'm going to be talking about in a second, I've learned more from them than taking a year of college at Berkeley. And if you know nothing about music, then Berkeley College of Music is a great way to blow a lot of money to figure out how to do simple things that you can do on YouTube. I'm not here to talk bad about Berkeley by any means. I'm just here to relate my experience. So if you were thinking about going to school for music production, or if you're in school for music production, really consider what it is that you're trying to get out of music. Now, the cool thing about doing private lessons with people that you look up to is they know all the things that you want to know. You like someone's music, you should reach out to them. They're going to tell you how to do it no better than somebody else, right? The people that made the music will tell you how they did their things that you are trying to learn. And that's why this is so amazing. Now, I will say that it's incredibly gratifying to learn something on your own or to discover something on your own, right? But going into the idea about what you're trying to get from private lessons is what's going to kind of help you find a jump off point and start exploring on your own. So I'm going to talk about like my philosophy on private lessons and stuff, and like how to be, you know, how to like have a healthy mindset for both parties and all that stuff down the line. But I really want to talk about 5 people, 5 big name artists that are teaching private lessons right now that I think that you should reach out to. These are people that most of them I've taken lessons from. They're people that I've had conversations with, that I've had discussions with, but they have influenced my music, my sound design, this YouTube channel so much. So much. And hopefully through some short descriptions and stuff that I'm going to give to you, I'll show you why it's pretty valuable to kind of maybe consider all these people or to go find somebody else that you like if they don't, you know, maybe you've been thinking about wanting to take privates from somebody, but it's not really like the music that these people offer aren't really your thing. And we'll talk more about that later. So let's see. We've got Copycat, we've got Frequent, we've got Hudson Lee, we have the Widdler, and we have Wolg. And I am so lucky to have had the chance to interact with these artists. And while I'm doing my own thing, like these artists are still teaching private lessons, and these artists have really affected my philosophy, my mindset, my approach, my technical skill, everything. And I think that if you listen to my music and you listen to their music, then you can kind of see how there's a massive amount of influence and through that. So Copycat recently sent an Instagram post and he was like, hey everybody, I'm open for lessons again. And immediately when I found out about that, I sent him a message and I was like, we got to talk, because I still, even to this day, even after all of the knowledge that I've accumulated over time, I still want knowledge. For Frequent, for Hudson Lee, for the other 2 people who I haven't taken lessons from but have still influenced me in a heavy way, like I feel like these people, for me personally in my own journey, are going to continue to guide me in the ways that I'm trying to develop myself as an artist, right? And that's not to say that other people won't or whatever, but I mean, man, I just have nothing but good things to say about it. So let's go ahead and talk a bit about each person and these experiences that I've had with these different artists, And I think that it will be good because it will give you some insight about what to expect from getting a lesson in general, or maybe just things that I've gotten in like the history of where I've learned how to do everything that I know how to do. And that's not me saying that I'm an amazing producer, that I'm an amazing sound designer, or that I hold any kind of caliber whatsoever. It's just a matter of saying, like, I feel like I have some valuable information, and I would be not a good person if I came up with all of it for myself, right? So Copycat was the first person that I did private lessons from, and he was so freaking cool, and we talked about so many different things. The first thing that I want to talk about is I recently came out with that live lecture on how to plan a tune out, and a lot of that stuff actually comes from him. So when we were talking, I used to get stuck a lot, and I had like a lot of beat block and stuff, and one key component that he taught me was the 1-bar rule. And the 1-bar rule is you make a single bar as interesting as possible, and then you duplicate it. And then you make that single bar as interesting as possible. And the reason why this mindset stuck with me so hard was because it taught me to sometimes, in some cases, to slow down. Slow down in the sense of, if you want somebody to listen to your entire tune, then it's really wise sometimes to put all of your effort into the divisions of time. And I think that by slowing things down in that way, it really kind of taught me about the idea about putting fine detail into music in that sense. I got so lucky because when he was working on Sweet Soul, I remember he actually sent me a sneak peek of that, and we talked about some of the stuff that he did, some of the sound design, and it was just an amazing experience to like take a look at what he was doing directly and how he relates it to his mindset. So for technical things, he taught me a lot about drum design. He taught me so much about drum design, and I kind of feel bad because when he gave that to me, I actually wasn't ready for it. So when he was telling me about using operator to shape kicks and then using this and doing that, like, I understood what he was saying, but I didn't understand the relationship of the effect chain that he was describing in order to get these things. And so lo and behold, a couple years later, when I had the pleasure of talking to DMCR, he pretty much had an incredibly similar processing chain, and it clicked. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. I get it now, which I'll talk about a little bit later of processing information. Bass design, coming into this, he gave me a lot of really cool tricks on bass design. And I came into this having a little bit of experience of neuro-bass stuff already, but what he did was he was like, okay, well, here is why this works, here's why this works. This is why there's a relationship between this. Like, if you ever hear me talk about like the relationship of how resonances of an EQ can affect the sound when it's being pushed into a distortion, those are things that I got from him. So the other thing that was really important that we got was the idea of building a structure. And if you guys know me, I'm very structurally based in the first place. That's something that I actually got from Jeet Kune Do, which is learn the structure, and once you know it, then you can find ways to break it. With him, he pretty much gave the same thing to me, but with music. And he was like, well, whenever I'm trying to, have a workflow, or whenever I'm trying to design something in that sense, I usually, create, a list of things, or I have like some key points within, a song or whatever that I want to use. And then whenever it doesn't work anymore, I just create a new structure. And that was so liberating to me because I realized that as important as it is to establish a workflow, it's also just important to know that you can break that. So within all of this stuff, like, he gave me a huge list and depth of knowledge and all that. He also taught me about like how to swing drums and how to do all that stuff. He's got some of that information for the multiplier video, and then also on bassgorilla.com. But it was such an amazing experience and enlightening experience that helped me actually write the Insomnia. And I remember when I finally finished My Beloved, which was the last track, I sent that to him, and he was like, man, this is so cool. It was so gratifying because he really cared about his students, and he saw all the things that he taught me being implemented within that particular tune, right? And again, this isn't about me bragging. This is talking about my relationship that I've had with somebody that does private lessons and all that. And I'm going to try to go through these people and talk about these things and just kind of give you this idea, but there's so much benefit to it. There's so much value that I find within these things, and these are the reasons why you might want to consider maybe doing lessons with some of these people, or maybe why you might want to consider, finding somebody on your own. So today's going to be a lengthy talk, but let's go ahead and move on. I still talk to Andre. I have a lesson scheduled with him on Wednesday, actually, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I don't have a problem throwing any of these people my money. In fact, I just wish that I had more money to throw at these people, because the knowledge that I've gained, the depth of information that has been translated has just been astronomical in comparison to what I've learned on my own and what I've learned, I guess, through academics, right? So the next person that I want to talk about, oh, by the way, we're on copycat.com because this is where you can find him. So I guess I have some lists and contacts for everybody that you can find these people in case if you want to seek them out yourself. Nobody paid me for this. Actually, what I did was I reached out to all these people and I asked them for permission to talk about them. I only have good things to say, but I just find that it's a good etiquette. So, Nolan Frequent, man, all right, so all the generator stuff that I've been doing lately, all of the crazier neuro-based sounds that I've been doing lately, the experimental heavy side of things, this has been my experience with Frequent. Now, what he likes to do, and this isn't the only thing that he does, but what he likes to do is you send him something, and then he'll work on your own project and talk about what he would do, or talk about the decisions that he would make regarding that. And sometimes I think that's really cool because it gives you a source of reference, and it's almost like he's collaborating with you on your track without actually it being a collaboration, right? So don't expect to go in and be like, yo, dog, let's collab and I'm going to pay you to do it. It's more of like, here's how I would get over or move on to the next step. And I think that's a really important point to have. So the first question that I asked him whenever I started doing privates with him, I was like, hey man, I really like Memory Den. And, that's that song that he had from, what was it? Was it Dreamscape? Oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of it. But Memory Den, it also had Moth Chamber and stuff. And man, that was one of the coolest EPs that I've ever heard, or I guess albums. And I was like, how do you get sounds that big? How do you get this experimental stuff that's so, so large and stuff? And he was like, honestly, man, you really need to think about just putting anything on your effects chain and doing everything. There's no right or wrong. Just try everything. And he really showed me that with things like Portal from Output. He showed me things with boosting specific frequencies on a chain. He talked to me about, multiple instances of compression with a lot of OTTs and stuff, which is kind of a meme now, but he showed me how to do it with actual taste. And he really just kind of liberated me on the idea about freeform sound design. And that's really where all of these ideas came from for, if you guys have purchased my most recent preset pack, Eternum. Because what I was able to do was I took some of those ideas about how he would create a generator that he used to do in Serum. And then I took the ideas from Neurobase that I knew how to do from processing and all that, and figured out a way to combine those within a single instance of Faceplant. And it's so cool to kind of see how these things work with each other, right? So some other things that he talked to me about was, and I wanted to do a video on this, but I'd much rather him talk to you about it. But for one, he taught me how to soundscape. He taught me how to think about a place in an area. So when we listen to The Source of Nightmares and you have kind of these places, these dungeons and stuff that I have, that all comes from him. The other thing that he taught me how to do was to take other forms of media as inspiration. So look at a picture, look at, something that is not necessarily musical, and what can we draw from that, and what can we do sound design or build a world around that with. Basically, in essence, I know that I'm talking about something specific, but that relates to the idea of storytelling in the first place, right? Storytelling without actual music, but storytelling through texture, storytelling through foreground elements and background elements. That was a key thing that I remember him and I discussing in that sense. And so for him, it's really amazing because it was such a different approach, even though they both make heavy bass music on the way that they work. And I've found this kind of duality of I see your perspective and I've been able to see Copycat's perspective, and now this is what I've taken and found kind of my own middle ground in between, right? And again, this is kind of why I stress doing privates from multiple people, because the larger perspective or the larger depth of insight that you get just happens tenfold, especially when you learn something from somebody and you can take it and then apply it to somebody else's teaching, right? So The last person that I've done privates with is Hudson Lee, and I have to say, like, I really want to give Hudson Lee a shout out because he just, man, he just always gives me the time of day. And I don't mean that as in like, oh, we've become great friends and all that, and I'm not trying to brag about the people that I know and all that, but at the same time, like, it's been such a pleasure talking to him and picking his brain. So Hudson Lee is actually a pretty young producer, and he runs the Upscale label. I wouldn't reach out to him for releases and stuff, but he's got some amazing music. He's got some collab releases with Frequent, and Frequent actually introduced me to Hudson when they were actually working together on something, and I was like, hey, does Hudson teach privates? And so after reaching out to him, we had some amazing conversations that are really off the deep end, like not even necessarily relating to music, like yes, we did, but just in like relativity in general. So there's a very like philosophical deep end to the stuff, to the content that I've gotten from Hudson Lee. And while I have done the least amount of privates with him, every time we talk is insightful. So a couple of key things from him is that he gave me like a really amazing mathematical approach to sound design one time that blew my mind. If you guys know about fractals and stuff, where you can pretty much create grids and shapes and things with a spectrogram, by using like specific time divisions of math, he pretty much like opened my eyes to that kind of stuff, and it was really just like an amazing, like, that was an amazing experience, because I was just like, wow, I had no idea this even exists. So some other things that were really cool about this was that he taught me how to try to relate life experiences to my music and how to try to communicate that. I'm not going to go into specific details, but he gave me a lot of history about about the music that he wrote, and he also talked to me about how that affected and how these specific things translated into his music directly, and that was a really powerful tool. We also talked a lot about mixing, and I think that was one thing that helped me finish Dream Chamber while I was writing that. And he gave me a lot of things of like, not even necessarily about how to EQ, but things to be mindful of whenever you are getting closer towards the end of a mix. So not even necessarily mastering, but just in the means of like, hey, this is how you can control your stereo better. Hey, let's look at mid-side EQ. Hey, let's do this kind of stuff. Perhaps the most important thing that him and I talked about was how to build your brand and how to build up for releasing, you know, a big piece of music that you've been working on for a long time. He taught me how to market on Instagram. He taught me how to do some cultivation things for, we talked about finding yourself as an artist. Most of that stuff was things that I've been thinking about before I did privates with him, but there's still a lot of influence that I drew after the fact. Or they aligned with some of the things that him and I were talking about from before. But even still, like now, whenever I'm ready to release more music and I want to try to promote it and stuff, I have a strategy plan for that. And I think that it's been a really, really cool thing to be able to look at this and then also see how I can apply that to things that I'm doing with tricking or martial arts or whatever. Low key, he actually got me a job because that strategy plan that he gave me kind of taught me how to do like social media management in general. And again, even though it's not directly music related, he taught me how to do it in the context of music with my own brand. And I think that's just like super valuable information, right? Because those are things that people don't talk about. Those are things that even though I have been given the knowledge, I still wouldn't talk about, because those are things that don't, like, that knowledge doesn't belong to me. So if you want that kind of stuff, go hit up Hudson. Cool. So with that being said, the next two people I have not done privates with, but they are teaching right now. And again, the links are all in the description, but I have a very special relationship for me with the Widdler, because he is somebody that has just given out so much. And the reason why I want to talk about him is because the philosophy and stuff that I have towards my YouTube channel really stems from the same ideologies that he has whenever he's doing his live streams on Twitch, or just kind of like how giving he has been in general. So I first came into contact with him. I'd been listening to him for like 5 years already, in 2010, before I even started making music, and he came out with the B-side and had some really awesome music. And then I found out that he was streaming, and in 2015 I sent him a piece of music for tune feedback. And the only thing that he said to that was like, man, this is so cool. How long have you been producing? Like, please keep doing it. Please keep doing it. And that was one of like the most important things and the biggest like confidence booster to still be making music today. So thanks, Wood. I really appreciate it. Since then, him and I have chatted about sound design. We've talked about, making music or like making specific parts of music in general. He does tune challenges. And the reason why I want to talk about him, aside from my personal experience, is because he has so much to offer. So for one, he is kind of in a unique situation because he's still using Reason and he's a freaking wizard with it. Everything that I know how to do, I bet he could do in Reason. And the crazy thing is that he likes a very specific kind of music, but like the amount of sound design versatility that he has, especially within Reason, is pretty mind-blowing. And like I said, if you ever just go hang out on his stream, you'll see what I mean, because it's like he does some crazy stuff. He gives a lot of mix feedback on on Twitch, and I think that he's a great person to come to for specific mix feedback or for like specific mixing strategies, because he spends so much time doing it and he already does it for free. But to be able to send him your tune and be like, hey, I'm trying to get this, I'm trying to do this, this could be a great idea. So the other reason why I think that you should consider him is because he always does these music challenges on Twitch. And the reason why that's so important is because he pretty much tries so many different kinds of genres in general. He's almost like a jack of all trades, master of the dub and other forms of music too. But imagine like talking to somebody that has done every single genre out there. And I think that like for us, especially people that have this kind of experience, maybe for the sense that like we've tried everything, but he literally has these challenges. He's literally done them for years now. For years he's been doing this. For years he's been on Twitch, broadcasting, making tunes, all that stuff. So I think that the versatility that he has is a great starting point. And I know that a lot of people like, deep, dark, and dub music anyways. So that would pretty much be an excellent choice for that kind of thing. All right. So the last person that we're going to talk about, again, I haven't actually done a private lesson from Woog, but Woog is somebody that I recently found in the last couple years, and he pretty much helped me indirectly make both the Infinite Corridor and the Source of Nightmares. He pretty much turned me on to IDM. And the reason why I wanted to talk about him was, for one, he did that for me, but the information that he is able to supply and the information that he already has available both on YouTube and on Twitch from his streams has pretty much been like, Woog is where I'm at right now, I guess, with music, right? Because he pretty much taught me that I can make experimental things, that I don't have to make things that are just so related to music. I can just open up and freely express myself just with rhythm or just with specific things. I've always been a fan of glitch stuff in general. Some of my earliest videos from 2018 have always had like, here's how you make a glitch generator or whatever, or like a glitch rack, quote unquote. But what he did with one of his videos was he was like, all right, here's how you build a track with it. And I was like, whoa. So I have a video from last year that's how to Woog, but in the context of Bitwig. I did send him a message and I was like, hey, I know you've got this video that's doing this stuff and I think that it's really cool. I was wondering if it would be okay if I did that in Bitwig. He said, go for it. And here we are today. So the coolest thing about this whole endeavor, even though, I don't get a chance to talk to him as much as I would like to, is that he's got such a different way of thinking about sound design, a different way of thinking about what goes into music in general. So just about every IDM tutorial I have has been inspired by him. If you ever see him work in Max for Live, or you check out GrainSpec from, I think it's a Max for Live plugin and stuff that you can actually find right here. Some of these things are just absolutely nuts. This thing, no, not this thing. Let me see here. Where is it? It's freaking crazy. I think it's called GrainSpec. And pitch maps. Is it this one? Okay, so this is just a basic granulator, but it's somewhere on here. And man, like, it's just a crazy thing that he built himself. And so like he does all these kinds of crazy programming things and whatnot. He's got these podcasts with like legends like Rob Cluth, with Little Snake and all that stuff, to where they're really at the forefront. Not saying nobody else here that I'm talking about is, but is on just a different level of pushing sound design boundaries. So with all that stuff, like, it's just so different, and it's so cool to me. It's so interesting to just kind of figure out how his mind works and all that. The main thing that you want to keep in mind, though, with him is that whenever you book a lesson with him, don't send him happy music. Okay, let me take a quick drink of water, and then we're going to talk about the other important things of going into the right mindset of how to actually get the most out of a private lesson. I really wanted to take the time to share my experiences with these people. People ask me about it all the time. They ask me what is it like doing it private with them, but I just wanted to give like a summary of what I've gotten from these people and why I would want to mention them in the first place, right? So yeah, I don't know. Okay, let me see here. Can you please enter your email address or close the pop-up? You're giving me anxiety? Hey, Kate. Okay. So going into a lesson, right? There's a lot of things that I would consider, and I'm just going to kind of use this mindset to help you prepare for, how do you say, trying to get the most out of it. Try anybody for one thing, right? One thing that you want to be careful of is that, like, whenever you book a lesson with somebody, don't, like, there's a matter of etiquette that you want to try to have. You know, I wouldn't go and book a lesson with Frequent to ask him how to do a Cohen sound bass, right? So those are some like basic things that you want to be mindful of before you even start the lesson with somebody. But the other perspective that I want to give is that you don't really want to come into a lesson thinking that they're going to give you all of the secrets and you're going to be an amazing musician or whatever in an hour or 2 hours, even in a month. It takes years to develop this stuff. The knowledge that people are sharing these days is so amazing, but it takes years to cultivate. So what you need to do is you need to think about how to make or maximize your time with somebody by having some kind of plan, right? And it's okay to like not necessarily know what to do, but a great place to start would be to kind of ask somebody about something regarding their music, right? Which I'll talk more about here in a second. What you kind of want to have going into this idea is being exposed to new information and having a new direction to grow or explore. Because while they can give you all of the information that you might ever need, it's going to be up to you to put the time in. So don't have that crazy expectation of like somebody's immediately going to, you know, change your world, change your life. For these people, they did. But I got lucky because I also knew how to ask the right questions. And that came from the training that I had actually from martial arts of being like, I know what I'm looking for. I know what I'm missing. I know what I want to do. And for that, you guys want to find that for yourself too, or you at least want to have that goal in mind because it's going to help you get a lot more information out of these people. It's a lot easier for a teacher to ask or to answer a question that they know or give you information from a question as opposed to not knowing where you're at or not knowing what your goals are and stuff. So really try to be personal and develop a relationship with these people if you want to stick with them for a while and be earnest about what your goals and hopes are, right? So questions are your friend. Write as many as you can going into a lesson or even before. You can even ask somebody a bunch of questions and be like, hey, these are the things that I want to work on. I've got a buddy that does lessons with me and he's a really cool person and he asks me like a huge list of things and we just start going from there. I've got this other guy, he's an optometrist and he's also super cool and he doesn't ask me the questions, but every time I come into the lesson, I'm like, okay, what do you got for me? Because it's just questions. He just already knows. He already knows what he's looking for. I'm not saying that needs to be you, but it definitely helps you start to put yourself on a path, right? 90% of answers, unfortunately, no matter what somebody tells you, is it depends. And the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because even though whenever you ask somebody something, it depends, you should be looking at what it depends on. Because what that's going to open up doors for you with is possibilities. You shouldn't be looking for a single answer of something. You should say, what is your perspective on this and what are the possibilities that can outcome from that? And suddenly this blossoms into a huge world of a single area of, you know, whatever it is that you're trying to learn, right? So ask them for material if they need, if you, you know, or sorry, hold on. What I meant to say was ask them if they need material. So if, you know, if you're booking a private with someone like Frequent, like he might want to work on your tune, or maybe that's what you want him to do, right? Because it's your lesson, so do what you want. But if you have something prepared and you want to have somebody take a look at it, then do your homework, right? Do your part in helping him feed off of each other to, I guess, like express these ideas, or to help you grow based off of like your artistry in general, which is why I did the how to grow yourself as an artist at first. Maybe you send somebody something and you're like, this is what I have, but I want it to become this. Somebody can help you on that path to, you know, shaping that slowly or molding it into something that is more towards like the idea or the caliber of idea that you want to express, right? So sometimes, like in regards to like sound design or something too, like you can even send them a bass patch, and it's really important for you to pick something that you are interested in, because if you just say, I want to do a lesson with you, teach me something, and they start going off on the deep end and you're not talking to them, or you're really quiet and all that, they're not going to know, and you might feel like you're wasting your time, and they might feel like they're wasting their time, because there's no communication involved with that, which is exactly why I said, do privates matter, or like, are privates worth it? It depends, right? You have to talk to these people. You have to be personal with them in regards to what your needs are, and be selfish with it. Don't be a jerk, but be selfish with it and saying like, hey, I'm going to pay you money. So let's talk about what I want to talk about. And that's okay, because that's what people are offering in general, right? If you don't know what to ask, like I said before, look up their work, look at their music specifically, and pick out certain things. They might not open the project file for you, but they might be able to set you on a path to be like, oh, well, this is how this bass came together. Oh, this is how, you know, these are my thoughts in regards to how I created this syncopated rhythm, or this is what I was feeling at the time whenever I wrote this specific section. And the more that you make them comfortable to talk about their own music, the easier it's going to be for them to communicate, because they already did it. They already did the work, or they already know what to do because it's their stuff, right? One big thing that I want to leave with you guys is ask your instructor every single time if you can record, and they might say no, and if they do say no, respect their decision for whatever reason, right? Because there is a matter of privacy and all that stuff. Respect their time, respect their privacy and stuff, but if they're cool about it, record everything. Every lesson, just about every lesson that I have, I've recorded, and I don't share that with people. I don't give that out. I don't even show my friends that stuff. It's specifically for me, but this is an archive of their legacy, right? These are things that when people continue to get bigger, or maybe you get big or something, like, you are recording a piece of history. You are recording a piece of vital, no pun intended, information. So use that, because you can come back to it, and then you can ask more questions about it. You can study it. You can go deeper into these things that we're trying to learn about in the first place. It's a resource. So definitely make sure that whenever you're doing that kind of stuff, you are making sure that you can notate, take notes, or just try to document everything for the sake of learning, right? So do you need the same DAW or programs in order to take lessons with these people? I talk to a lot of people, and they're like, oh, like, I would do a lesson with you, but I don't have Ableton, or I don't have Bitwig. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. Well, it might matter. What is it that you're looking for, right? Are you looking for how to sound design in general? Are you looking for, you know, just overall production discussions? Do you know how to stem? That's another thing Frequent taught me, was how to stem. But do you, like, what are your needs? If it's sound design in general, or you're wanting to know about a specific program, then yeah, maybe so. Maybe you do want to have the same program or whatever. So find an artist that has the same thing as you. I can tell you right now that 4 out of 5 of these people have Ableton. I don't know if Widdler actually owns Ableton, but he uses Reason. But these other 4 people use Ableton. I'm secretly trying to convert them to Bitwig. Sorry, it's just what I'm doing. So if Andre or Nolan or Hudson or Jan or Greg are watching this, go to Bitwig. But sorry, aside from that, yeah, unless if you're trying to learn about something specific within a program, then I don't think that you need this stuff. It's more of a matter of what is it that you're trying to get out. And it's important to, like, take the ideas too, that, like, whenever you're learning sound design, you don't have to do like a whole follow me thing. It doesn't have to be, okay, I'm going to do something and you're going to follow along. You can do that, but it's more about extracting the information. It's more about extracting the mindset behind these things, and the overall formulas of something regarding sound design or the approach to these things. That's going to be the information that is valuable to you. You don't, and so like, I really want to say that because that could turn you off potentially from like talking to people like this, but it doesn't really matter. Just if they have knowledge or they know how to do something that you want to know how to do, that should be the number one factor that you reach out to people for, right? Let's see. The next thing that I want to talk about isn't as big of a deal. So it's not a big deal unless if you make it a big deal, but this is just kind of one of those things. Pay people on time. Some of these people, whenever you book a lesson, like you pay for it beforehand, and some people are a little bit more lax about it, but like take care of them. You know, if you are going to, or if they're going to take the time to spend on you, which is time that they're taking away to spend where they could otherwise be doing music or teaching somebody else, frankly, pay them. Pay them cordially. Don't say like, you know, hey, can I pay you next week for Tuesday's burger or something? Like, give them what they deserve. I always pay them either during the lesson or right after the lesson. And I usually try not to end the call until I've actually paid them. So that way they know that, well, they're taken care of, right? Actually with Frequent a long time ago, I actually paid him ahead of time because I booked several lessons with him and I was like, here, dude, just freaking take my money. Let's get it. And that was really important. I have this philosophy with teaching with that kind of stuff as well, which I actually also want to talk about. And whenever I was teaching privates for like tumbling and stuff, it's just kind of like an easy thing to do, but you don't have to like take this for verbatim, and every person and every like situation is individual. But my mindset with teaching privates has always been, if you miss a private for the teacher, their next private is free. If your other person misses without like a 24, like if the student misses without a 24-hour notice, or like, you know, at least like a good look ahead of time, then they should be paying for that lesson that they lost, because that is something that could have booked with somebody else. That's just been my overall mindset. It's just been something that has worked over time, but we're all adults here, or we're at least usually teenagers. If you're 5 years old, then go talk to your parents and, you know, let them sort it out, right? But those are kinds of things that you really want to do in the etiquette mindset of taking care of each other to create a better thing. Because you have to realize that this is a relationship. If you take care of your teacher will want to, you know, do more lessons with you. Because for one, of course, like, yes, it's monetarily advantageous, but if you actually have something, if you're actually passionate about learning, people notice that stuff. People notice those things. They're still people beyond the information, right? You're still interacting with people, so be kind to them and reciprocate that. And I can say from all these people, they've already demonstrated a huge amount of kindness towards the community, so I don't really have to like speak on their behalf for that. So the biggest piece of advice that I'm going to leave you guys with, because I think that this conversation is coming to a close, and then we'll take questions and all that stuff here in a second. But the biggest piece of advice that I have for you is that you're going to run into this situation more likely than not. But what's going to happen is whenever you have information from people, or you're getting a huge just influx of really cool tricks and tips and stuff, a lot of times there is a processing time frame for you to be able to, one, understand it, but then understand it in the context of your own music. And it's something that I actually like kind of realized, or kind of like clicked with me whenever I watched a Jaws masterclass. And he was like, when I was at a school learning a lot of cool stuff, he wrote like crappy music for like 2 years. And he was saying it was because he learned so much stuff that he didn't really know how to put it. Like, he knew the academic information, but he didn't really understand how to translate that within his own artistry. And so that's why I go back to saying like the idea of record everything, because you might learn something, but it takes a long time to learn how to apply. So with that, have patience with it, right? You need to exercise patience on both fronts, and you need to practice, man. You need to practice. I made some really crappy sounds when Frequent was talking to me about, you know, how to experiment and how to apply different kinds of effects chains and stuff. A lot of it just sounded like noise and whatever. But the more that I kept doing it, the more things started making sense. And that's why you have to kind of give yourself that grace period in order to do that. But keep learning, right? Keep learning. And eventually you'll have this feedback cycle of, you figure out how to apply something, and at the same time you're learning something new. And that's how it should be, because this is a process, not a destination when it comes to learning music or anything artistic. If you feel like you have mastered something, which is like one of my philosophical things. If you become a master at something, then you stop growing, because to master something means that you have complete supreme knowledge over it. I don't ever want to be a master of something, because that means that there's nothing left to do. That means that I've reached an end point with this. And for you guys, you should always be reaching for the higher peak of the mountain, right? Because the mountain gets higher as we keep going. At least that's the way that I think of things. It's an open end. If it's a closed end and there's a beginning and an end of whatever it is that we do, then I don't really feel like it's an art. I feel like it's more of maybe a skill or a problem-solving formula. So in any case. But yeah, guys, so that's my insight on private lessons. That's my insight and my advice to you on, for one, some people that are offering, you know, big producer names that have really amazing music and releases. But I also wanted to give you just some insight about like how to ask for a private lesson or how to interact with somebody whenever you're searching for knowledge, because I really feel like this is the best way to learn. YouTube is great. A lot of my stuff, I've tried to have kind of like that one-on-one, almost like conversation-esque type thing where it kind of feels like a private lesson, but I give you guys the open end of things as opposed to here's how to make this sound. But yeah, there's nothing like being able to have a conversation with a mentor. And I'm so lucky to have a bunch of teachers and stuff and have access to information to people that are looking out for my benefit. So yeah, I left links in the description for how to reach all these people, but just in case, let's go ahead and cycle through these. So it's copycat.com, frequentaudio.com, hudsonlee.bandcamp.com, or you can hit them up on Discord, thewiddler.com, and wogue.com. Pretty easy, right? So dope. Thank you guys so much for listening. I'm going to go ahead and pull my notes aside now if you want to take questions or if you guys want to have a discussion about your experience with privates or, you know, anything that you guys may or may not have. So let me see. I'm going to catch up with chat. All right. I'm curious. Thumbs up. Greetings, salutations. Wogue is currently not taking new students because he's transitioning to Pyramid. Oh, sick. Okay. Well, there's that. Alk, do you do private lessons? I do. Alk helped me a ton in my lessons with him. Hey, how's it going? Got sample packs today. LOL. Oh boy, Frequent. Can you please enter your email address or close the pop-up? You're giving me anxiety. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure, like, he doesn't, I reached out to him and I didn't see, he didn't respond before I pulled this up. So you can contact him through here just to send him an email. That's what the point of that was for. This is a good topic / stream. Thanks, dude. Wogue also has worked a lot with FL and has it. That's also good to know. Wogue might not be taking privates right now, but you can still find him on Twitch. And he does track submission every Saturday, but I still wanted to mention him just because, well, he's teaching to some degree, so that's cool. I didn't actually know that. But yeah, as a teacher and a student, this is all really excellent information. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sitting down and listening to me ramble. I have not had a bad private lesson. Knock on wood. I have not had one bad experience. Oh, it's Wednesday now, actually? Okay. Thank you. I feel so... I'm sorry, Wogue. Yeah. And you know what? And that brings up a good point. But sometimes people will open things for private lessons. Sometimes people will close things for private lessons. But as of now, you know, like, just reach out to them. And even if they're not teaching... Yo, what up, Hudson? I was just bragging about you. Even if they're not teaching at the moment, take their contact info. Please take their contact info and write them down or send them a message, because at the very least you can, they're people, right? We're on a social media type thing. So you can, you know, ask them something. You can at least ask them a question or say like, hey, I'm interested in taking privates. Maybe you're not taking privates, but somebody else that you know might be, right? Do you think there is a threshold of quality you should strive for before paying money for one-on-ones? Sort of like what you were saying about etiquette? No. Yes and no, actually. I think that before you pay somebody, I would recommend that you have a conversation with them. You know, if somebody's interested in taking privates with them, I would first of all talk to them. Before I paid any of these people money or whatever, like I've had a conversation with them and asked them about things of like, hey, I'm interested in this. Do you think that we could go over that? And if sometimes they'll say, yeah. Somebody reached out to me and was like, hey, I want to do a private lesson. I want you to teach me how to make this bass specifically. And I was like, I can't do that. I can get you close, but you know what I mean? I would feel bad taking your money trying to teach you something. And that's not really the right mindset to have anyways, but I turned somebody down because of that. But the conversation itself saved both of us the disappointment, right? Because as a teacher, I don't want to disappoint somebody. And as a student, you don't want to be disappointed with information. So like, do your research and talk to them. We're really fortunate time where awesome producers are offering lessons. When I started making music, there weren't many resources other than universities to learn from. Yeah, and like, what are the universities offering, right? And we are. I totally agree. I'm so grateful for the people that I've had the chance to talk to, and I'm so also grateful for the mindset of information sharing has totally changed. It went from like, don't tell anybody, this is super secret, to no, let's actually share this stuff. No, let's get this out. Let's raise the consciousness of producers. And I think that these people here are definitely some people that are at the forefront of that, because I can tell you right now that all of us here, if you're still here listening to this, we just want to get better. That's really what it comes down to. You know, there is a business aspect to it, and I do understand that, but I'm not, making tons of dollars right now. I don't know how these people are doing, but that's none of my business. But I can tell you that everybody here wants to get better. That's what we want. In comparison to a tuition, one-on-one is so much more helpful and affordable, lenient time-wise. Yeah, absolutely. And you get exactly what you want, right? So from talking to somebody, you get to skip all the things that you might not care about. Maybe you don't give a damn about music theory. Maybe you don't care about using Session View in Ableton, and you don't have to take a test on it, but you can say, hey, how do I cultivate this, or how do I put this together, or hey, how can I try to achieve something that is, more specific in that way? Or, let's say like you want to learn sound design, but you want to learn it through the perspective of anybody here. Let's say you all teach, right? So Jazz has a perspective on sound design. Kate has a perspective. Hudson does. Neurotica, 18 Hands does. Everybody here is unique in that way. And it's important to learn as an artist, as opposed to trying to learn artistry like super academically, right? Because they often don't play nicely with each other. There are some basics and some fundamentals that I do think you can put into academia, but at the same time, this is about artistry. This is always about artistry, and you should embrace that. Really grateful for the lessons I had with Alex. Sometimes I didn't know what to say or ask, but he took the reins and taught me a ton. Thanks, dude. I really appreciate that. The way that I teach, well, you guys know the way I teach, because the way I teach is what I do in videos, but to me, for me personally, like I always want to give you guys a deeper perspective. That's really what I want to give to you. I don't want to give you an answer. I want you to ask more questions, because if you're asking questions, that means that you're still wondering. And when you continue to wonder, you continue to grow. Hey, Copycat is dope. Everybody's dope. Everybody's dope. So yeah, those are kind of, well, that's kind of my philosophy on the whole subject anyways. Does anybody have any questions? Hudson, are you still here? Where can people find you? Because I linked them to your Bandcamp. If you guys have questions for Hudson, he's somewhere in here. Talk to him. Say hello. Introduce yourself. Also, a lot of people may be happy to discount anyone who may be financially struggling if you explain your situation. Yeah. Be responsible with it though, right? Be earnest and be a person. I think that's the best way to describe it. I have no problem paying money to these people though. I really don't. Even if I can't afford it, which I hardly ever can, it's always been worth it to me. Always been worth it. Yeah. I don't feel like I have anything else for this. But I can say, if you guys get the chance, please do me a favor. He's here. He's lurking. Thanks, Alchemy. Even though you gave up on Ableton, LOL, I always feel good about your openness and willing to share your takes on sound production. I mean, like, is what I'm doing in Bitwig that much different, though? So I question if these people take private lessons, too. Oh, like these people that learn? And you still do, right? Yeah, I've got a lesson booked next week. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would say they're taking private lessons, but I would say that they are being influenced by people, right? They have other teachers, right? Because not everything has to go through the reins of like either academic or private lessons. Some people just collaborate with each other. Some people actually have like a friend relationship with each other, and that's like pretty much the same thing. But for us, for somebody like, I'll just speak for myself, but somebody for like me who doesn't have like a circle of producers or whatever, I had no issue reaching out to them from being on the outside of the producer community and just being like, hey, I know you don't know me, but I really want to learn. Can I pay you for your time? Can you show me, like, I just want to be like better. That's really my approach to that. I believe all these guys share info. Mr. Bill mentions Copycat, and I've also heard badasses that mention other producers' techniques that they learned. Copycat Frequent and I are pretty frequently sitting on call with each other and exchange information. I've also gotten a lot out of Wolg's YouTube channel. Yeah, so like it's a small world, you know? And I think that like one of the biggest things that is really important for this is that while I do think that the approach to, I think that the approach to private lessons is a very honest way and a very like good way to try to, for one, access higher means of information. Like, it doesn't matter how good your music is. It doesn't matter like where you sit on that quote unquote hierarchy. Like, we're all still people. And I think that this is a great way to be able to just talk to somebody, right? To be able to just have a conversation with all the things that you probably can't talk to your friends about. You know what I mean? Like, I can't talk to any of my homies about sound design, like any of my real life friends. I talk to you all, and I talk to Hudson, and I talk to, you know, Copycat and Frequent and, you know, Widdler and Wolg and everybody on Discord. But what it's allowed me to do is not come at it from a point of, I make really good music, so I'm at this caliber. It's more of just a sense of, I've found in some way or another a sense of community for people to exchange information. And that's why I invite everybody to the Discord stuff. Hudson has a Discord. I think I was just on it. Wait, hold on. Let me make sure that. Okay, that was mine. Yeah, I mean, Hudson has a Discord in Upscale. You know, go to that. Talk to people. There's a bunch of producers out there. Find a community for you and find how to, you know, access those people to just discuss information. If you really want to learn, like, there is a time to be, there's a time to be talking to people, or there's a time to be practicing in the DAW, but there's also time to be talking with other people and sharing your ideas. So creating a community of producers around myself was incredibly important to my artistic growth. Dude, same. I have nothing but good things to say about the community as of late. It's just been really cool. Like, how do you expect to get better if it's just all on your own? Discord is prime as flip for just being exposed to that community. I totally agree. It's I honestly, like, from everybody that's here right now, I just want to tell you how grateful I am to have you as part of the community. And yeah, like Hudson, like, I just want to tell you personally, like, dude, thank you so much for all the time that you've given me. Now thank you for the time that you've given me too, you know, as a student. It's really cool. It's really cool that I've got both a teacher and a student here at the same time. Same way for me, no one I hang out with in real life is interested in music production, so you might consider doing one of these lessons at some point so you can ask a bunch of questions. Yes, that's what it's for. That is what it's for. There's so much learning opportunity now that we have access to the internet, so take advantage of it. But yeah, can you guys do me a favor, please? If you get the chance, I really want you to interact with this video, but more importantly, I really want you guys to share this. And don't do it for me, do it for these producers out there and help them, just help them out, really. Help these guys out. Just share it. If you're on a different Discord than I am or whatever, like, just say like, hey, Alchemy covered like his experience with these private, or with these artists that are doing private lessons and stuff, and really put the name out there. Promote them. I am the vessel for this particular video, but I would be really happy and really honored if you guys could do that for them, even if you don't take a lesson from them. I would really appreciate that, and just have a conversation about it. And, you know, I guess on the other flip side of that too is give this a discussion. Like, invite a discussion for these things. Yo, will this be uploaded later? Yeah, this is going to be a public video, because it's anytime I do a live lecture, I leave it public. But yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. Hudson, great to see you. Cade, Jazz, Lapidus, sorry you made it late. We talked about a lot of stuff today though. But thank you guys so much for being a part of this, and let's talk about it in the Discord, or let's talk about it later. Let me know if I can answer any questions for you guys, and hit these people up. Tell them, hey, and introduce yourself. Tell them what your hopes and dreams are, and help them out too. Yeah, help each other out. Bye guys, thank you so much for joining me. I will see you all later. It's pretty obvious, but one-on-ones do elevate the scene in that they help the scene as a whole orient itself in a more concrete direction. It's unity. It's a unity hack. That's exactly what it is. So take advantage of it. Much love, guys. Please take care of yourselves. I will most likely have another video up by tomorrow or so. And yeah, thanks, guys. See ya.